Yeah, it's incredible now that you pointed out. It's like to set the tenor for your day is so important. Because I notice days if I get up and do kind of like my reading morning ritual, it tends to be a much better day than if I happen to wake up and just check Twitter immediately or something like that. So do you have, you've got your mantra, then do you have any ritual behind that or anything you try to do first thing, or do you just go straight to work?
So I know that if I don't write the letter every morning,
Mm,
I won't get it done. So that is like, I'll get up, I'll shower, I'll grab some coffee, and that's the first thing I do. And there is there's like a meditative or therapeutic kind of process to sitting down, picking a topic, having to formulate your thoughts, and then putting the kind of putting it into practice.
yeah.
And for whatever reason, writing just has become like a habit of mine.
Right.
Um, One day I'll wake up and I'll just be like, all right, I'm done. Like I
Yeah.
just know myself, like I'll break the habit one day and it'll be over. But that's probably the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is, again, I really focus on output in the morning.
Yeah.
So I don't do email. I don't do kind of all the things where somebody else controls my time
Yeah.
or can kind of, I literally think of it as like attacking me, right?
Yeah.
Instead, like I want to be on offense for as long as possible in the morning, and then at some point I just throw my hand out and say, "All right, fine, you guys got me." What's the bullshit I have to do today that I'm happy to do, but it's definitely not my choice in terms of doing it.
That's a great way to look at it. Just stay on offense as long as you can until you got to flip the defense.
Offense is the best defense, right?
Yeah, right. But defense wins championships. So I don't know. I guess
that is true. You still got to do it. You still got to do it.
Yeah. What so I think, well, I mean, for me personally, like something I find admirable in you is you just seem to have the hustler energy. Like I guess this is a product of you setting the mantra in the morning and then structuring your day according to your temperament, right? Like your output's better in the morning and you do intake later. What, like, do you have any other life hacks or tricks where you're getting this wellspring of energy? Because I mean, I think a lot of people really lack that today. Like people struggle, people drag themselves out of bed to go to work or do what they have to do. So do you have any advice on that?
I mean, look, I think there's two components, and it might not be the most popular answer, but I think one is people are scared of themselves. And so they stay in shitty jobs, working with shitty people for really long periods of time. And, I literally people who are very close to me, right? Friends, family, et cetera, do the same thing. And sometimes I'm just like, nobody cares about your job. Nobody cares about that company. The people that you're working with that you think are so important literally are never going to think about you once you leave your job, right? Like all the classic things.
Yeah.
And they'll hem and haw for months. And then eventually they leave the job and they're like, oh, wow. Like, I don't even remember some of my coworkers' names, right? A year later or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think there's kind of this like a local bias, if you will, and recency bias that definitely happens. And so I always just ask people, like, I think Jeff Bezos probably has a pretty good framework on if you go all the way to 80 years old and look backwards.
Yeah.
Do you regret something that you did? Right. Or do you actually regret not doing something?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to kind of clarify things.
Yeah.
The other thing that I always joke around about is, can you pick the dopest option? Right. And this comes from something of my brothers and I years ago were joking around and we were trying to figure out what we should make our Instagram bios. Right. As stupid as this sounds. And where we settled was, forget social media. I do dope shit in real life. And the reason why we said that was because, like, yeah, sure, like the internet is cool and we all enjoy the internet, but like, do you have the substance behind it? Right? Yes. Like you can have the coolest social media profile, all this stuff. Like, do you actually do cool shit?
Right.
And so that kind of somehow in a weird way became like a mantra of just like, if you're faced with two options, pick the dopest one.
Yeah.
And the dopest one can have different meaning to different people, can have different meaning in different situations, because it's not always the safe option. Sometimes it's the riskiest option. It might not always be the easiest option. Sometimes it's the hardest one. Maybe it is the most dangerous, or maybe it is the safest. Like each situation is different. But if you optimize for, how far on the dope scale you go, the decisions you end up making end up being pretty good ones. Right. Yeah. And so like some of my favorite memories in my life are things that we explicitly did that if we were looking at it through a different perspective, we wouldn't have picked that.
Yeah.
And so when, you start saying to yourself, like, all right, how am I going to spend my weekend this weekend?
Yeah.
How many people are just like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to, see my same 2 friends that I see every Friday night. We're going to sit there with our dogs, and then we're going to talk to each other about, oh my God, you're not going to believe my dog took a poop on the sidewalk this week, and I didn't have the, bag to pick up the poop. And then on Saturday morning, I'm going to go and I'm going to get to the grocery store, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to, sit downstairs and I'm going to do my taxes, and like the weekend's gone.
Yeah.
But instead, if you said to yourself, like, yo, are your 2 friends really going to miss you this weekend? No. All right. How about this? Call them up and be like, you know what? I'm going to go do some dope shit this weekend. And at the end of the weekend, I want to be able to go into work on Monday and tell a wild story.
Yeah.
You want to come with me?
Yeah.
And like, if your friends are like, no, you're an idiot, be like, okay. But then like, go do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And what you're going to realize is like, not everyone has that opportunity. People have young kids. They've got life responsibilities. Like I get it. But you can still do certain things that add the variety and kind of variability to it. And when you do that, I think it just leads to a more fulfilling life, and it's not so boring. And you get out, and when you get out of the boring component, that's where you can break out of like that, almost like it lulls you to sleep. Like, don't let life lull you to sleep.
Right.
But most people, you've probably heard the story of like, oh, I graduated college, and then I woke up and I was 60. Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
I got married and I had a kid, and I still live in my hometown and whatever. And it's like, some people, that is a perfectly good life. That's what they want. They're incredibly happy. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I don't really remember how I got in this situation. Like, now here I am. My job sucks, but like, I need to have a salary so that I can pay my bills. Yada, whatever. Right. So, look, I don't know if it's the right strategy for everybody, but that's the way I look at it.
Well, I love the term you're using, actually. And, it's very modern, this term dope, but it's so versatile, because not the safest option, not the most dangerous necessarily. It's all context driven. And I think this is a great point too about social media. I think some people now even let social media lull them to sleep, where they're optimizing for the highlight reel of their life versus the actual substance, as you said. And it's important, I mean, at least in my mind, to just prioritize the substance and let the highlight reel kind of fall where it may. That's super cool, and a very adventurous way to approach life.
And I think part of it also is, it all stems from, when I was younger, I was 20 years old and I was in the military. I just realized probably the most important lesson in life: we're all going to die. Super morbid. Yeah. But if that's the truth, then enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah. That's great. Great way to look at it, man. You got to keep the end in mind always, even the bitter end.